In the previous episode...
Sometimes I wish you never even came here.
Hello everybody, welcome back. On the previous episode, Isabella wants to join Ash in investigating the Ermengarde mansion, and I think we're about to make a choice. Let's continue. It has been a little while since I have recorded these videos, so forgive me if I'm a little lost. I'm just gonna really quickly check the backlog. Okay, so Isabella wants to go back, and I'm trying to convince her not to. Anything to keep her safe. It's dangerous. I feel like that's quite controlling. I feel like I'm gonna do this one.
Forget it, Belle. You're not going back to that mansion.
Ah, shit. Well, let's stick to it. Fuck it. Fuck Ash.
But Ash, what about...
This isn't up for debate. Do you really think they'll just let you in? Do you really think they'll give a damn if you walk in there carrying that stupid letter of all things?
No, but there has to be something we can tell them. Ash, they were with me during the open house. They have to know. They're in as much trouble as we are. They're living in that place. That ghost woman came from there. Both her and the letter. Something's in that house, Ash. And whatever it hides might be the only thing that'll get us out of this mess.
All right. Suppose you do find an answer there. What happens? Let's say that by some dumb luck, you got inside and found something.
What if you see her again? What if she goes after you? What are you going to do?
It's not like we have any other choice. Besides, I'm pretty sure you've already thought of the same thing. Admit it.
That doesn't mean I'm going to let you run straight into trouble. What you're planning to do is risky. For you. Give it up, Isabella.
Unexpectedly, Isabella merely clams up. No resistance, no further argument like I've come to expect from her. Uncharacteristic. Just a silence that stretches far too thin till the air in the whole room grows awkward and suffocating. A standstill that gets us nowhere. Although if there's one thing our talk has wonderfully succeeded at, it's making me feel like a total asshole and a hypocrite. And I am, considering my plans tonight. Sure, I can tell her, but what good would it do? I've already told Zach one person is enough. Hell, simply letting someone in on the plan makes me iffy. Broadening that circle and revealing too much would just cause another pointless concern. But someone has to be aware, at least of where I'm heading off to, in case things don't pan out. Expect the worst, even if I've only intended to do a quick survey of the place. In my own words, risky. Isabella doesn't need to be burdened with the worry of my entire scheme entails. I like to think that yes, to some extent she understands, even if she does not entirely agree with me, the dilemma's clear in her. Otherwise her scowl wouldn't have a deeper set to it, her lips wouldn't be pressed in a thin line, or her hand would no longer be balled into fists. She would have pushed that argument if she doesn't, and I know she has no lack of things to say. Maybe it's because she has already heard the same thing from Rebecca. Maybe my words have made her come to her senses. Either way, it's best that we simply leave it from here, from now on. I stand up as soon as footsteps shuffle from the next room, its cadence slow and hesitant. Shortly, Rebecca comes into view, clutching her hands firmly in front of her and sporting the same uncertainty in her face. She casts me a cursory look, then shifts a nervous one to Isabella, who studies her with an almost hopeful gleam in her eye. Their fight never do last long.
Belle, can we talk? Alone?
Her interruption could not have come sooner, and I'm all the more glad for it. Whatever kind of friendship I share with the two, this remains something for only the two of them, much like my own with Zach. I'm the outsider, they don't need me here. It's all the reason I leave. Muttering an excuse, I beat a hasty exit out of the main lounge and leave them to mend things on their own. Oops, wrong button. Monday, October 31st. After scolding Rebecca for her harsh tone, a concerned Ashton followed after Isabella. He found her alone in a corner of the lounge, upset. Despite agreeing with her, he insisted she would only put herself at risk by coming back. Although she acquiesced, dismay was clear in her face. Before Isabella can say what she's been mulling over, before the last imploring glance she directs my way forces me to change my mind. It's another lasting image that firmly etches itself in my memory, one that spurs the conscious among other things. I just hope I won't regret what I've chosen for myself tonight. Galway Shoal's Monday night crowd, although small and barely occupies a quarter of the whole pub, provides ample enough cover for anyone who wishes to leave the place unnoticed. Just exactly what I need tonight, with the lively music and chatter slipping out, mostly unseen, becomes a piece of cake. Without much trouble soon after, I find myself standing outside under the chilly Luxbourne night. A gust of wind picks up shortly after I step out, carrying the telltale smell of an impending rain. I'll give it about an hour or two before it starts. Sounds like it's already started. From the looks of it, tonight will be another downpour, maybe even stronger than the one we've had this morning. On instinct, I hunch further into my jacket. hugging its thick material close to my body while I weave my way through the lines of empty cars in the parking lot. The letter crinkles in name of the game in my pocket with each step I take, though I pay into it at no mind as I hurry towards my car. I've nicked it minutes ago from Isabella's belongings. On my way out, if this is all connected, I need this damn piece of paper with me. However ridiculous as it sounds, I'm quite sure it won't be missed either, but I can't waste time here and wait for her to find out, can I? 4 hours is all I'm giving myself to get this done. 3 if I'm inclined to go by the rules Z-Man set out, but when have I ever? If he takes more than 3 hours, isn't Zach going to go and look for him? Regardless of how generous that is, each second's just as important as the next. So I hurry, one footstep over the other echoing as I make a beeline for my car. But as with every plan, problems crop up at the last second. It's practically a universal rule. And it does. In the form of a lone figure waiting for me next to my car. Rebecca turns just as I near, the corners of her mouth twitching up in a wry smile. She offers no greeting except for a slight tilt of her head. Even as my pace slows and I look at her with all the unvoiced questions in my eyes, she remains wordless, merely throwing her head back and shifting her attention up at the starless sky when I come to stand beside her. Another gust of wind blows as she breathes out a sigh, wary, thick, with something close to resignation. The breeze carries all of it away while she hugs her arms closer to herself to keep warm, which raises the question why she's out here. The air is already heavy with the promise of rain, with clouds obscuring the view. There's really nothing left to look at but dark blankets of nothingness. Still she stands here as if she intentionally is waiting for everything to fall. That or she's here for some other reason. But before I can voice a single word, express or a disapproval of any kind, she raises a halting hand at me, sharply cutting off the rest of my question.
I'm not here to stop you. Wherever it is you're planning to go off tonight, I won't be able to anyway. You look like you've already made up your mind.
Go back inside. It's going to rain soon. It'll probably be even heavier than the downpour we had this morning. You wouldn't want to be caught in it.
I will, in a moment. I just want to stay out here a bit for some air, away from the noise inside. Everything's been so chaotic these days. This little break is nice. Even if it means standing in the middle of a parking lot, of all places. Getting out of this mess would definitely be better, but hey, you take what you can get, right?
It'll be over soon.
Mic change. I do want to add, by the way, I know this is randomly like 8 minutes into the video, but the videos are going to be longer now. I'm thinking 45 minutes to an hour, purely because I want to get this series done before the new year. This is being recorded in December, so we shall see. The confidence in my own words surprises even me. How do I know? Why am I so sure? When, in truth, what I'm about to do is a last-ditch effort. If this fails, I don't find anything, we're back to square one. It's the last lead I have. After this, we have nothing else to go off from. Regardless, it seems to amuse her, and laughter soon sounds above the murmur of the distant traffic and the light draft sweeping around us.
How I wish. I'll be content as long as she stops showing up in my mind whenever I close my eyes.
I think that may take some time. The brain doesn't easily forget trauma.
I can try, but, you know, it also did a lot to us.
Tell me about it. The back of my head's still smarting from my fall last night.
Not that kind. I'm talking about us. As people. I hate to admit it, but this whole deal with the ghost, with the curse, it also brought out an ugly side to us. To all of us. And it made me realize plenty of things about myself, about us.
Rebecca trails off. Suddenly, a pensive expression spreads across her face. I've seen it countless of times before, and every time I see it on her, it's usually followed by a memory, a silly story, or even something embarrassing I've said from childhood. Unlike me, who will much rather forget, she remembers each of them so easily. And after a short bout of silence, when she smiles, I know it's one of those times again.
Do you remember that one time, back in secondary?
Which one? We did a lot of dumb things back then. Well, I did, but you get the point.
Mandy.
I thought you still don't like her. Don't tell me you've kept in contact with her. Are you guys friends now or something?
Oh no. We do see each other sometimes. On the way to work or when I go out for lunch, but it's nothing like that. We're not friends. Not in this lifetime. I don't think so. I don't think we'll ever get along, but if it wasn't for her, we wouldn't even be friends, yeah? You stood up for me that day. And from then on, things have changed.
She makes it sound like I'm some sort of hero. Mandy was in the wrong, of course. I'll defend her. If no one's going to stand up for her, who else will? Chances are it would have escalated, and who knows, maybe she would have stopped going to school or transferred. Any decent human being with an ounce of sense should know better. I acted because I know what I'm doing is what's right. It's as simple as that. Yet she smiles as if it's worth more than that, a fondness that goes beyond nostalgia.
I guess what I'm trying to get at is, this time, I don't want this to go unsaid. You know, just in case something happens. Ash, I've always been in love with you.
She says it so plainly, holding my gaze and in a voice too frank that her admission stuns me into silence. Like the wind has suddenly been knocked out of me in one fell swoop. No words will form, not even a single coherent thought, as the meaning of her words bear down on me. Nevertheless, she continues, desperate to express everything she has kept to herself all these years. This is what the fondness is. Why, for her, it weighs heavier than any feelings of nostalgia can carry.
Since that time in secondary, since I made that promise to never leave, I've always truly loved you.
Afterwards, there is relief, a weight suddenly being lifted from her shoulders after so long. She closes her eyes and lets out a breath. When she looks back to me, though, there's nothing but hope in them. Eyes that are searching for an answer. Facing the sincerity behind her words, I find myself grasping, scrambling for the words. Because as much as this pains me to admit, I can't give her the same affection she's asking from me. We might have spent so many years alongside each other. Hell, we practically grew up together. But that never automatically means I'll ever hold for her feelings that go beyond the boundaries of friendship. I guess our hearts weren't high enough. Oh wait, yeah, you're right. I do appreciate her presence in my life. I'm more than glad she has stuck with me even through the toughest moments. Even when she finds me difficult or aggravating. However, it's really all there is to it. She's a close, important friend to me, but nothing more.
Rebecca,
I draw in a breath, ragged, unsure, uncertain how and which words to put together so it will hurt less, so the wounds they might leave won't be as deep or scar. Though before I can even string two phrases together, she lifts a hand to my mouth and silences me. A smile's on her face, kinder than every single one I've seen from her so far. It's nice to see it on her. It suits her more than the glares or the frowns. But at the same time, it only serves to baffle me.
You don't have to answer me.
yeah, but you should... I should...
No, I mean, you don't need to.
Okay, now I'm really confused.
Have we ever seen a smiling Becca before? It's weird.
One moment you're saying you've been in love with me since secondary, now you're telling me to shut up?
If you want to interpret it like that, all right.
No, really. Some explanation would be nice, Becca, because a lot of things are going on right now, and I'm afraid I can't catch up. Especially with this curveball you just threw.
It means what it means, Ashton. You don't need to answer me. I don't really need to hear it anymore. It's not that I don't want to. Believe me, if I were the same person I was before this whole thing happened to us, I'd be elated. Excited even. But like I said, I also realized some things. Understood myself more. Ash, I did love you. Ever since we were kids, all those times you defended me from bullies. I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. Even after this.
The achievement was a change of heart.
But at the end of the day, once you take a closer look at everything, it also turned me into a really selfish person. When you think about it, maybe the Ashton I loved isn't the one standing in front of me right now. Maybe all this time, I'm still clinging on to that aloof kid I met 17 years ago. I didn't even consider that you have a mind of your own. That one day, it won't just be the two of us. That you'll find someone else and it won't be me.
I'm sorry, Becca.
That character development from Becca. Absolutely love what she just said. I'm not even sure what I'm apologizing for, that I can't return her feelings. Or because I'm somehow holding myself responsible for this, even if up until now I have no idea how she felt. Regardless, she continues to smile through all of it.
It's not your fault. Don't say that. I'm the one who should apologize. Since I suddenly sprung this up on you when you have other things to do, I just thought I should let you know. So I can finally let this whole thing go. One question though. Are you going to tell her?
Tell what to who?
I pause, frowning, a brief moment of doubt while I try to figure out what she's talking about all of a sudden. When it finally sinks in, though, my bewilderment hastily gives way to utter embarrassment.
Oh.
That face!
Oh, shit.
He abruptly crawls up my face no matter my efforts to keep it down. In the end, I can only look away from her, afraid of what else she'll see in it.
Did you really think no one would notice?
Was it that obvious?
It was surprisingly easy to tell. But that was probably because I've known you longer than anyone.
Fuck, who else knows?
I think Zach suspects.
Shit.
You're embarrassingly lame when you're trying too hard. It's almost painful to watch. Don't worry. With your terrible way of flirting and knowing her, I'm quite sure Belle has no idea, even now. Not even a clue.
Harsh, Rebecca. Really harsh. I could use a vote of confidence, you know.
She laughs, loud, the kind that's free of any burden, ringing above the wind slowly picking up as the storm clouds approach. With it, however, the awkward atmosphere lifts at last. There's only that camaraderie we've shared since meeting in that classroom 17 years ago.
I'm serious, though. Tell her. And if you ever make her cry, I'll hit you with every damn history book I have on my shelf. Clear?
Noted, ma'am.
Anyway, thanks for hearing me out. I won't keep you long. I know you have things to do. Just promise me you'll be careful, all right?
She doesn't wait for an answer. Instead, she gives me a push, with a force only heavy enough to throw me off balance. Caught unaware by the gesture for a few moments, I fight for purchase against my car's trunk, bracing my hands on its smooth surface. When I look up with a string of reprimands ready on the tip of my tongue, Rebecca's already halfway through the parking lot. Monday, October 31st. Ashton left for the mansion at nightfall, but when he got to his car, he found Rebecca waiting for him. Fearing she might not have the chance, Rebecca confessed her feelings. But before he could answer, Rebecca stopped him, admitted she had been selfish and that she was letting him go. She only wanted him to know. There's a small skip in her step, while the breeze carries the light tune she's whistling. On a whim, I let its note be the last thing I commit to memory before slipping inside my car and driving off. It sounds like a new beginning more than anything. Another reason to be optimistic. Within 10 minutes, I'm driving out of Luxbourne and heading straight for Anselm Village. The music. In the distance, flashes of lightning light up the horizon, white and sharp against the black curtain of the night. Thunder threatens with a rumble seconds later, echoing long across the sky. And with one last roar, the skies open in earnest. Oh, November 1st, Tuesday. I told you there was going to be a bloody storm on the last day. Oh, the irony. The rain falls in fast, steady sheets, creating shallow puddles on the dirt path, drenching everything the eyes can reach. Despite having grown up in the city, I still despise the rain. Living here doesn't mean I have to like it. Lucky me, I've reached the mansion before the downpours turn torrential. Is it me or does the mansion look worn down? The long slog from Anselm Village by foot is already made difficult by the light drizzle and the biting winds buffeting against my body every few seconds. By the time I found cover under the trees lining the vicinity of the mansion, my shoulders are already drenched. My hair is also sticking against my skin and out in every possible direction. Thankfully, the letter, name of the game, taser, and gun I brought with me has remained relatively dry, and that's the most important thing. However, those are the least of my problems at the moment. Sometime after the housewarming party, scumbag Wright has suddenly grown a brain and tightened the security around the mansion. A guard is now stationed in every possible point of entry, the main entryway and the back door leading to the kitchens. Hell, it's almost a miracle no one has spotted me once I entered the property, although that's probably because I've kept close to the forest. While I can always create a clever way in for myself, under this deluge, it'll be difficult to do so without making much noise or leaving tracks.
I don't really have the luxury either, do I?
Considering how off this place feels since I've stepped in the property and the mansion came into view, every light is off, even with the security personnel on patrol outside. The whole house itself feels empty, eerie, too quiet. Normally I'll pass it off as some kind of a power outage because of the storm. It's not far off conclusion when this place is almost in the middle of nowhere. However, something just feels wrong.
Something happened here.
Or about to. It's the sole reason why I haven't done anything yet. Simply observing, watching, listening for anything I might be pressed for time, but I'm not a careless idiot. Although I need a way in, desperately so, moving in without thinking will not only endanger me, with so many unknown variables and what we're dealing with, I also have to act on the assumption that someone is always in danger, especially in this place. I cannot act impetuously. As much as I hate Wright, I'm not about to cause his death because of one thoughtless action. If there's a place he deserves to be at, it's in prison, not a morgue. So when a hoarse, painful sob suddenly rings out above a loud pitter-patter of rain, only then do I stir. A woman. Perhaps a servant? Or worse, Hannah Wright. It's coming from the forest? Just right ahead, in fact, and not too far from the house. Regardless, I give the place a quick, wary glance before following the noise. Carefully keeping to the shadows, one cautious step after another. Louder and louder it goes as I near, until it abruptly turns into a loud, desperate anguish cry. I break into a run. One nervous hand ready on the gun holstered at my hip and the other raised for a balance as I scurry across the dense understory. Dead leaves crunch under my shoes, but I pay it no mind. It's only the voice, the woman, and nothing. Abruptly it all stops and I am met with a sudden hush. Blank. Empty. Almost deafening in its stillness, even with my labored breathing and pounding heartbeats against my ears. Behind me, another branch breaks and...
Help me.
Dread surges within me as while I spin around and take a hard step back, ignoring the chilly pink pricks crawling at the back of my neck. But before I can even meet her eyes, the world unexpectedly pitches sideways, tilting, and tilting until the ground beneath me finally crumbles. My hands fight for purchase, only to meet air. By then it's too late. My foot slips further and the rest of my body follows. Dark spots blur the edges of my vision. Black tendrils twist and coil around my limbs. Soft footfalls echo from the far distance, scurrying, scampering, moving in an odd rhythm with the sharp, piercing notes of her laughter. But more than that are the voices, lacing venom inside every crevice in my head. Murmurs that jeer, scoff, and deride. Over, it's because you didn't listen. And over, it's all your fault. And over again, why won't you believe me? A reminder of what I failed to do and who I failed. What I'm trying to desperately fix. A scream threatens to burst, but my throat closes off ever so slowly. A chill seeps into every nerve in my body, washing away every sensation in me apart from one. There is only fear. Once again her laughter echoes, a sound both bitter and unforgiving. It is the last thing I hear before she reaches for me. The ground trembles. The world slows to a stop. Half darkness greets me when my eyes finally snap open, the soft patter of dripping water somewhere spurring my consciousness further. This is where Marianne's story ended. Tuesday, November 1st. The storm had started in earnest when Ashton arrived at the mansion. While trying to find a way in, the detective noticed the eerie silence that having enveloped the place. Something was wrong inside, but before he could figure it out, the sobs of a woman suddenly echoed. For a few short moments, I remained still, blinking away the dizziness, allowing my vision to adjust to the lack of light and my breathing to even out first before pushing myself up on one arm and attempting to stand. Turning alone is a struggle on its own. An inch of movement sends a stab of sharp pain right up my arms and my back, giving me another pause.
Shit. I hope I didn't break anything. Fuck.
There doesn't seem to be any injury or a major fracture, although the whole of my back does feel sore and raw. Probably from when I've skidded down prior to landing myself here. A comforting thought. The second attempt comes easier later, though no less painful. And by the time I'm back on my feet, the exertion has left me gasping in short, shallow breaths and leaning heavily on the wall nearest to me. Behind me, a light draft blows in from where I've fallen in, coming in short, sharp bursts into what's apparently an underground tunnel and brings in the fresh, earthy smell of rain from the topside. Regardless, it fails to mask the old, musty scent of the place, a mixture of mold, mildew, dust, grease, and something distinctly foul. Like death. More worrisome than the putrid, festering smell, however, are the cells in line both sides of the tunnel. Under the dim light, I can barely make out what's inside some of them, but I already have a few ideas, all of which I refuse to delve into at the moment. Knowing how long this mansion has stood, somehow, no matter how unexpected finding this existence of this place is, it isn't too surprising.
I wonder if Scumbag knows about this.
Probably not, unless he's also the kind of person who takes joy in inflicting this kind of suffering on others. I don't really think so. He's rotten to the core, but not that rotten. He'll probably balk at this, move out of the first opportunity and have it demolished. The very idea of what has occurred in this place years ago makes me reel as well. I've known long ago places like this tend to hold secrets. This, though, if this is just the tip of the iceberg, I fear what I may discover in the mansion itself and the tale behind that fucking letter, name of the game, But fear is inconsequential, and as unpleasant as the sight of this is, this place might also be the only way for me to get inside unnoticed. Sighing and taking one last gulp of clean air, I push away from the wall and delve deeper into the passage.
Let's just hope it'll be smooth sailing from here on.
Turns out that alone is too much to ask for this early. No 20 paces into it, another sound abruptly rises above my footfalls, rebounding off the hollow walls and echoing inaudibly across the whole span of the tunnel before fading away just as swiftly as it rang. I pause nevertheless, straining my ears for more of it while I gradually move my hand to my side, slow and steady until the tips of my fingers brush off the gun's handle. Although the cold against my skin is the closest thing I have to comfort at the moment. For a long minute I wait, holding my breath, watching every form, edge and shadow at the corners of my vision for any movement. After a heartbeat and nothing, I allow the tension to ease out of me in the form of a long, slow exhale that reverberates around the whole passage.
Who's there?
Marianne! Perhaps it's because of what has happened earlier and how I've ended up here, or maybe it's because of my training. But in spite of the panic and fear in that voice, I don't immediately answer. Instead, I pull my gun free from its holster and wordlessly draw closer to where the voice rings out once again. Afraid. Frantic. Weak?
I'm asking you a question. Who's there?
It's only after I've released the safety do I answer, while continuing my approach in a careful, steady pace.
I think I should be the one asking you that. Who are you? Show yourself!
I can't. I'm stuck in here.
Well, a ghost will definitely not be saying that, or have a conversation like this, or be stuck anywhere. And as if to prove her point, she extends a hand from one of the cells ahead and waves. Then she pulls back, grips the iron bars and rattles it lightly.
I can't get out. Can you help?
In 5 quick steps, I'm standing in front of the cell, and sure enough, a woman's inside. I see no woman. Slumped on the floor, holding the bars with shaking hands, clinging to it as if it's the only thing keeping her upright. And not just any woman.
You? McLaughlin?
The same one I met at G's 5 days ago, smashed drunk and babbling her frustrations about her employers.
Holmes?
No, not McLaughlin. McCulloch. Marianne McCulloch, famous interior designer extraordinaire. Not so extraordinary now with the exhausted and feeble she looks, trapped in a jail cell of all things. Her breathing is shallow and there's a paleness to her complexion, sunken eyes, cracked lips, dry skin, all signs pointing to starvation and dehydration.
What? How long have you been stuck in here?
3 days? 4? I don't know. I have no idea anymore. I just fell in and that woman, whatever. Can you get me out of here? Please.
In a moment. But here, go feed yourself first before you fall over.
I fish out an energy bar from my pocket and hand it to her. Yang's energy bar, chocolate cereal, net weight 50 grams. She's lucky I always have one on my person. For sudden emergencies or extended stakeouts, a little sugar to keep me going. Like any starving person, she wastes no time making a grab for it, unwrapping it straight away and taking in whole mouthfuls of it. Relief washes over her face on the first bite alone, although she's going to need more than that if what she said is true. But for the moment, it's enough to keep her alive. Wait, I'm gonna see how long it's been. It has been 4 days. Good thing she seems to have the sense to prioritize survival over comfort if the puddle on the corner of the cell indicates anything. Without water, the human body can only survive 3 days. I was going to say that, but I didn't. No food, it'll give an average of 3 weeks, though even then, it won't be a pretty experience. Granted, some have survived longer than that. She's still fortunate I found her when I did. Now to get her out. My bobby pins won't be of any use here, not like I need it. Unlike the ones we have at the precinct, a simple barrel hinge holds the gates to the cell together. Even without any special tools, I'll be able to lift the door and free her. However, with how heavy it seems, I'll need a lever of some sort to help.
What are you looking for?
Some wood, a 2x4, I guess, a plank or a pipe, anything I can use as a lever. Wait here.
The hallway yields nothing but dust, dirt, and a few rusted chains scattered about. While I may find something in one of the open cells, I'm reluctant to check or even step in. We can't have another person trapped in here, however. Miss McCulloch ended up inside.
Well, there's no...
My head snaps back to her. McCulloch extracts a wooden board from under the mess of hay and twine near her. Oh, it's one of those, I can't remember what it's called. Oh wait, no it's not. It doesn't have 3 holes. Without prompting, she slips it through what little space there is between the bars. It's short, but appears thick and sturdy enough for my intended purpose upon closer inspection.
Good enough.
I hope. I get to work at once, anchoring the other end of the plank at the base of the door and applying ample force on the other end. It takes a bit of effort, no kidding about the heavy part. Still, a grunt, a gasp, a creak. In a matter of minutes, with a little help from her on the other side, the door eventually lifts off its hinges. It falls on the ground with a loud, ugly, metallic thud, but the sound of it puts elation on McCulloch's face. She doesn't even ask for help. As soon as she can, she hastily crawls out of the prison she has accidentally found herself in. More than happy to get out of it, despite lacking the strength to stand firmly on her feet.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Prison break. Achievement unlocked.
After the second day, I was so sure I was going to die in there. If you didn't show up, today, I don't even want to think about it.
How did you even end up here?
For a second, she appears hesitant, looking away and fumbling awkwardly with her fingers.
I was looking for something. Someone.
A contemplative expression flickers in her eyes, something that's close to wistful, like when a person remembers a memory she's fond of. It doesn't last too long, but it still leaves me the impression that I've suddenly walked into something private. Something deeply personal for her. I'd rather not ask.
So this whole tunnel, at the end of it, it leads right inside the mansion?
The wine cellar.
Right into the kitchen, then.
There's a door of some sorts. I don't know. I think I pulled or pressed something somewhere. I was in a hurry, and I'm not sure if it'll open from this side. Hell, this place wasn't even in the floor plans.
Why would it be?
What do you mean?
Does that really matter now? We have to get out of here. People died in this place. Kids! Oh God! Kids! I could have shown you, but that thing won't turn back on anymore. It's like it only waited for me to see it before shutting down or something. How long has that thing even been in there? But those poor kids. All because of that thing.
Wait, hold on. What are you talking about right now?
The bloody letter!
Name of the game.
Ever since I've read that thing, since that day at the open house, she won't leave me. But it should be fine now, right? I broke it. I broke all of it. She shouldn't be able to do anything now.
Gosh, she's gone fucking mad.
Mikala, one at a time.
It's all that fucking paper's fault! Oh God! Oh God! Dear Lord in St. Adelaide, bless those poor souls. We're not safe here. We need to leave. If we stay here any longer...
Mikalo!
Abruptly, she stops, looks back at me with wild, panic-stricken eyes. I've seen enough of it so many times in these past few days, from my own friends even, to know she has seen things, the kind that'll easily make any person go mad. And perhaps we slowly are. She's not slowly going mad. The longer this takes, the faster our descent into it becomes. I can't even tell which one's worse, death or this. Seems like no matter what we end up with, there'll be something horrible waiting for us. I need to hurry.
Listen, I need to get inside this place, and you're more familiar with its layout. If you can help me...
What? No! Why would I go back? Are you sure you haven't gotten raving mad yet? An exit's right here.
And this business with the letter has to end at some point. Look, I know you're not very fond of Luke Wright.
Damn right I'm not. He can just go.
But are you really sure you want to leave him like this? And what about his wife?
It strikes a chord. The face. That's such a surprised Pikachu face. She falters, grows quiet as the tension lifts from her and her shoulders slump. I do understand her issues with this, in fact. She doesn't have to go with me, only tell me enough info so that I can figure it out on my own. She can always leave afterwards, be done with this whole damn mansion and letter. The other end of this tunnel leads right into the forest. It'll provide ample cover for her to be able to slip out of the property unnoticed. All the same, she steels herself and squares her shoulders.
Just until the kitchens.
That's more than enough.
She nods, albeit weakly. Then, without another word, she gestures for me to follow. Oh, fuck! I had my hand resting on the enter key. Then, without another word, she gestures for me to follow, leading me further into the passage. Occasionally, she'll stop, find perches on the wall to catch her breath, but throughout the short walk, she asks for neither a break nor assistance. I mean, in the kitchen, she can eat more. But isn't it like if you've like starved, then you're supposed to one, eat slowly, and two, actually not eat that much? Because your stomach will like go in a shock or something. I might just be talking out my ass though. Tuesday, November 1st. After his fall, Ashton found himself in an underground passage when he came to. There he encountered Marianne McCulloch, who got trapped in one of the jail cells for several days. The detective managed to free her, and in turn she helped him find a way into the mansion. I suppose that's something we have in common. Eventually, we get to a dead end. Although before I can question her on it, she begins palming for something on the wall. tracing her fingers along the weathered edges of the bricks with a frown on her face.
It should be somewhere here, I think.
What the hell are you doing?
She merely holds up a hand, begging for my silence, and continues searching. Then, without warning, a few minutes later, something clicks. A portion of the wall shifts ajar to reveal a glimpse of another room. Bottles lining the wall, liquor barrels for aging, the wine cellar indeed.
The ladder to the kitchen is on the far end of this room.
Surreal. Okay, so Marianne goes in during the party and gets locked in this room, and then that night, or the next night, Hannah ends up going into the basement as well. So we might actually run into Hannah now. Or possessed Hannah. This is all nothing but a surreal nightmare, but after everything, should this even surprise me? Ghosts, curses, hidden passages? I can't even bring myself to question the existence of this door anymore. I simply follow her to the Undercroft without a single question, in spite of a number of them already swimming inside my head. As a kid, I used to crave for this kind of adventure. The stuff of mystery and detective novels, daring chases, interesting cases to solve, suspects to put behind bars, justice to serve. I was blinded, I admit. Now I simply want this to be over. We leave the door open in case there's a need for a quick exit, especially after she mentions it's only by chance she's been able to open the door the last time. We can't waste time finding the switch again on the occasion something goes horribly wrong. That's smart. There's bound to be, with me feeling this high-strung and tense. I'm not even sure why I thought it'd be a good idea to enlist Marianne McCulloch's help. Although she has been quite helpful so far, I can't shake off the horrible feeling something's going to happen to her if she stays with me. Even if I'm her safest bet, if she wants to get out of this place alive.
You really believe that, don't you?
Did you say something?
McCulloch pauses mid-step, turning to me confused.
I didn't.
You sure? I just heard.
Don't you think I'll be the first person who'll know? Look, the ladder leading to the kitchen's up ahead. You might want to hurry. I just want to be done with this place.
See? You dragged another one.
This time, I'm sure, there's really a voice. Well, voices. Despite the look of protest McCulloch shoots me, I find myself stopping and looking for it, searching the immediate surrounding for the familiar form of the woman. I don't even have to venture too far from where I'm standing. Just an arm's length away from me, mirror shards litter the floor, and right on the biggest fragments, they speak, all singing the same mocking tune against my ears, letting it echo throughout the small Undercroft. Murmurs and laughters, jeering, scoffing, deriding, lacing venom into each crevice in my head, taunting me.
You dragged another person into this, Ashton.
Into another one of your silly little problems.
All because you can't fix them on your own.
You really haven't changed, have you? Some hero you are.
Why does Becca have no teeth?
Useless.
Pathetic.
You're wrong.
My mistake lies in the first instance I've answered. The very second denial has slipped from my mouth, the words have also seeped into my heart, allowing it to prod at and rouse my temper. Despite knowing they are merely doing this to goad me, each word, each syllable trickle into me, spurring the guilt I've hoped I've long buried.
Are we? Or is that simply what you've been telling yourself all this time?
Something to make yourself feel better, perhaps?
You're the one who took that letter off Isabella's hand that day. You're the one who opened it.
How does it feel, I wonder? To know you're responsible for all of this?
What do you think I'm doing? Why do you think I'm still trying to fix this?
Oh, but you can't. It's already too late. And you know that. You know all of this is futile.
Just face it, Ashton Frey. You're a failure, and they are the ones who have to pay for it.
A badge and a gun, and you still can't protect your own friends.
Can't even solve a case for an old man.
Can't even bring Luke right to justice.
Can't even keep his own family together.
No wonder they left you. Before you do the same thing to them.
Mom and Dad are better off without little old you, aren't they? It's a good thing they had the sense.
Pitiful, isn't it? Some detective you are. Some friend you are. Some son you are.
You might as well just throw that rank away. You're no use to people either way.
Shut it!
I hate this. I hate how this monster can easily get through me. Every weakness, every insecurity it knows, to hear it sit in my friend's voice even more so. But what I hate above all of it is...
You know it's true, though.
All of it. It's why all you can do is tell us to shut up. You don't want to hear a single word, because you're already aware of it. You can't even admit it to yourself.
But no matter how hard you try, you're not gonna be able to save anyone.
Shut it! Not a single word anymore!
In the end, your own incompetence will eventually lead to the deaths of everyone you care about.
It laughs, sharp and piercing. At its sound, something in me snaps, a rage hastily unfurling, red filling my vision, and the next thing I know, I'm raising my hand and... something grabs at my wrist, followed by a buzz as another voice breaks through the haze.
Don't listen to it!
The fog from my mind lifts. Every sound, every noise returns to me, flooding my every senses. All at once there is this deafening silence. Slowly I become aware of my surroundings. Bottles of wine, barrels of liquor, the faint old scent of death and decay somewhere, and a hand holding onto my wrist as if to keep me from hurting myself. Oh! In my hands, a shard. Blood drips from where it has cut my palm, trailing down my wrist until it disappears behind my sleeve. Not too deep, negligible even. There is a pain, however, a different kind, an ache somewhere else that stems from not only from the wound, but where every single word is hit. When I glance up at McCulloch, she merely stares at me with wide, horrified eyes.
Don't listen to it! No matter what happens, don't do what it says! It's how it gets us.
My grip on the shard falters, but only after I nod and drop its entirety does she release her grip. Afterwards, she simply steps back and looks away, hugging her arms closer to herself. She breathes a sigh, heavy, perhaps weighted with her own guilt, what this monster might have used against her.
Come on, we're getting close.
She walks off without another comment, but there's worry in her as she gives the fragments one last glimpse. Tuesday, November 1st. Before he could go deeper into the wine cellar, Ashton began to hear voices coming from the mirror shards on the floor, mocking him for his failures. Though before he could do anything rash, Marianne stopped him. Belatedly, he realized he had picked up a broken mirror shard. On the ground they lie lifeless now, no more visions, no more voices, no more insults, but even as I walk away, one whispered taunt continues to ring in my ears.
It's useless, Ashton Frey. You are going to die.
And you are going to die alone.
A fear, one that has been long kept in the darkest place in my heart, one that small part of me wishes for. The trapdoor swings open without much fuss. Where's Hannah? It isn't even locked, probably left open from when Wrights asked for some midnight snack. I make sure the coast is clear, of course, before I pull myself and help McCulloch up. The butler of theirs is nowhere to be seen. He's probably sleeping, attending to his master, or doing some extra late night work before turning in for the night. Meanwhile, Wright won't touch anything to do with the menial chores, not even with a 10-foot pole. It's next to impossible for him to linger here. No servants, not anyone. And just as easy as that, we're in. Gently I close the hatch. If things go well, the same path will be our way out. If our luck doesn't hold, that's not an option now, is it? Well, why wouldn't they keep the hatch open? I have people waiting for me. I really don't want to think what might happen. Sometimes it's best if we simply revel in the little victories. They are great blessings when everything else is going against you. And in a place like this, fraught with unknown dangers, it's a feeling that only lasts but a second. Suddenly, a sob, ringing out from some distant part of the house, echoing through its empty halls. Besides me, slumped on the ground, pale and breathing heavily, McCulloch immediately tenses. Her eyes go wide and she grips the side of the counter with a force that might be enough to crack it if only she has the strength. As it is, she can barely stand, and she hasn't fully recovered, makes sense of the 3 or more days without proper food or water. And it's this weakness that puts the fear in her eyes. She's aware. If something happens, if there's a need to run, she won't be able to. She's a liability at this point.
Holmes, I really don't think going any further is a good idea. Look at this place. Everything seems fine. Nothing's off. Maybe we should just go? I really don't like the sound of that.
You really don't have to come with me. Just until the kitchen, yeah? We're already here. You've done your part. From here on, I'm going on my own.
Yes, I said that, but...
Can you even stand?
She doesn't answer.
You'll only be putting yourself in more danger if you follow after me. You have an easy way out of here. Stay here. Once you're okay, I need you to get yourself out of this place.
What? I'm not going to leave you!
Well, I'm not taking you with me either, lady. So it's here or out there.
You really are mad, aren't you?
Probably all will be, if no one fixes this little curse problem we have.
You think you'll find something in here? This is just a mansion, for God's sake!
Maybe. It's worth a shot. Besides, if what we're hearing right now says anything, I'd say scumbags.
Who?
Right. He might be knee-deep in trouble and he has no idea about it.
McCulloch still appears as if she's about to... I gotta stop resting my hand on the next key. McCulloch still appears as if she's about to argue, so instead of more words, I unholster my taser and hand it to her. A standard issue for every member of Luxmore Police Force, but it shouldn't take a genius to know how to aim and fire one. Even Isabella may just be able to use it without training. Oops. Yet Miss Interior Designer Extraordinaire stares at it as if I've just handed her something particularly nasty.
Listen, you want to wait? Fine. I'm leaving this with you. But if I don't come back here within 15 minutes, I want you to backtrack and get the hell out of here.
Are you daft, Holmes? I already told you.
In case something goes wrong, I need someone who can tell people what's going on. Who can tell my friends what might have happened here. They're at the crawl. You know the place, right?
I trail off, letting the meaning of my words hang in the air. I want to be optimistic about this, really. However, I'm going against something almost everyone can't quite understand. I'm just being realistic with my chances. McCulloch seems to understand this as well after what I've said. Any sign of protest has already died from her tongue, and she simply looks at the taser quietly. After a moment, she just nods. Beyond the walls of this room, the cries continue to grow louder, and I take it as a sign to leave. Without another word, I slip out of the door. Tuesday, November 1st. Upon reaching the kitchen, the crying Ashton heard from outside began anew. Unwilling to risk a civilian, the detective handed Marianne his taser and advised her to leave him if he didn't return after 15 minutes, even if he himself was uncertain if he would. There are a lot of story updates. Finding out who that is seems a good place to start as any. You'd think they'd learned by now that the crying is coming from the ghost and it just, is luring you somewhere. I keep to the shadows for the most part. Not that there's any need to, this entire place just feels empty. Odd when a house this big should have a large staff. You'd think there'd be one or two roaming about for some late night chores or someone seeking out whoever's creating this ruckus. There's none, however.
Shouldn't they have security posted inside as well?
Unless their security means the butler, though I doubt Scumbag's that sloppy. He loves his life more than anything. Probably more than his own wife. And the thing he's done, he's bound to make more than just an enemy or two. He's also the kind who'll do anything to keep himself safe, alive.
I wonder what he'll say when he finds out that there's something not human living with him in his own house.
Potential dangers aside, being on my own grants me a greater degree of mobility, which I'm more comfortable with. Sure, I could have enlisted McCulloch's help. Next to the people who own this, she's probably the one who's most familiar with the mansion. But the cons of bringing her outweighed the pros. She's better off somewhere, a quick exit's in sight. With no tag along, I only have to worry about myself. Watch my back. Selfish, I know.
But necessary.
In the same manner this whole plan is, no matter how idiotic going into this is. Besides, I don't really need a guide when the house's layout is fairly simple, almost mirrored with only a few modifications in the rooms. Although I've only been here once, I think I already have a good grasp of this place's ins and outs. Do you hear whispering? I thought I heard whispering. As long as you can tell which is east and west, it shouldn't be hard to find my way around. After the dining room, the main foyer should be the next thing that greets me, where the women's cries are leading me. Honestly, after what happened outside, I'm not even sure if I should be trusting what I'm hearing. But with the whole house somehow seemingly devoid of any of its inhabitants, I'm inclined to look into this. More than surviving this curse, a huge part of this is my training speaking.
I just hope this isn't a crime scene I'm walking into.
But nothing is ever that simple, is it? Not when you're dealing with the supernatural. Nope. Because as soon as my feet cross into the next room, something shifts. Oh my god. Shifts! In a flash, nearly without fanfare. It happens in the blink of an eye. I almost miss it. One moment there's red, in the next, I'm standing alone in the foyer. For a brief instant, I pause, glancing wildly around the place, blinking twice as if my movements will spur the vision back. Yet, nothing. No blood dripping on the walls, none trailing down the stairs or pooled on the floor, no eyes watching my every moment. Only the same cries gradually growing in intensity the longer I dally, along with a voice.
Mother,
Desperate.
where are you, Mother?
Pleading.
Mother, please. I don't want to be alone.
Coming from the same direction I've heard the cries from. Upstairs. Attic, anyone? The place is not entirely empty then. A better question now is who? Definitely not Scumbag or the butler. I've yet to see or hide nor hair of them, and not knowing their whereabouts puts me on the edge. I have to be careful not to make any noise or be seen. Maybe the wife, though one can't really tell if it's her the way the walls echo with her voice. Nevertheless, it pushes me to move. taking almost 2 steps at a time despite the sickening feeling that something's lurking behind every great shadow, every small corner I pass, as if the house has several eyes watching my every moment, as if something alive dwells behind the walls itself. And that's where we're going to end the episode, guys. I will read the journal entry quickly. Tuesday, November 1st. Upon reaching the kitchen, the crying Ashton heard from outside began anew. On alert, he continued deeper into the mansion, even if he was uncertain if he would get out of the place alive. I mean, that's kind of just repeating this one, right? But yes, we are going to end the episode there, guys. I would have made it a bit longer, but me didn't done, so I gotta go. Everybody have a wonderful evening, and I will see you all on the next video. Kisses, bye! The rain falls in fast. One second, just... The rain fall in fast, steady sheets, creating shallow puddles on the dirt path, drenching everything in the eyes can reach. The rain falls in fast, steady sheets, creating The rain falls in fast, steady sheets, creating shallow puddles on the dirt path, drenching everything in the eyes can reach.